Good morning. Turn this down. Dropped the boys off at school. It was minus 25 last night. Oh, push that away because, who wants a little red thing? There we go. That's better. It was minus 25 last night. It is Monday morning this morning. Boys are at school. Just dropped them off. Heading home now to get back to work. It is minus 14 degrees Celsius in my van right now. So I'm not sure exactly what the real temperature is outside, but that's what it says. And yeah, it was a good weekend. What did we do? Didn't do a whole lot. My dad is sick. So, and then Dommy said this morning that he wasn't feeling well, but he did go to school. So I'm not sure if that was just him starting to not feel well or what. So keeping an eye on him, but he's doing okay. Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot this weekend. The weather was kind of nasty outside, so we didn't really get to go out and do a whole lot. We did go out, the boys were outside playing and things like that, but we didn't go for a family walk or anything fun like that. It was kind of too busy, but yeah, I'm enjoying putting up my posts. I'm getting comments, like DMs, I guess, or direct messages, instead of comments on the post. But still, it's still fun to get comments about something that you put out into the universe. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. One comment was that maybe my dog needs a coat for the winter, which is actually a good point. I probably should get him a coat. He doesn't spend a whole lot of time outside, just left outside or whatever. We do not tie him. He's an indoor dog. Spoiled, rotten indoor dog. They both are. So yeah, I might look into that. He is getting older and not as rambunctious when he's outside, so he's, probably gets colder faster now. So I should start looking into that. Yeah, when I lived in the city with him, way back when he was a puppy, we lived in St. Thomas, and the salt was really bad on his feet. He would bleed almost every winter, so we had to get boots for him. Now that we've moved to the country, that doesn't really happen anymore. He doesn't really walk on a whole lot of salt, not like the city salt, on the sidewalks and stuff. So the salt out here is kind of like sand and salt that the township uses to sand the road, so it's not as bad on his feet. Plus, there's no salt in the yard. We don't use salt in the driveway and stuff unless it's really bad. Then we'll pull out the salt. But other than that, we just use ashes or dirt or sand, whatever. So yeah, his feet are a lot better now. But that was about the only health thing that I needed to do for him, was put the paw balm on to keep his feet from drying out from the salt, and then put little booties on him. Well, actually big booties. Big dogs, anything for a big dog is expensive. Anything. The food's expensive. The medical care is expensive. The anesthesia when they get, when he got fixed, was expensive. Everything for a big dog is expensive. I think he's about 100 pounds right now. I have to weigh him, but it's hard. I have to weigh him at the vet, so I have to go and do that. But he's a big boy. So getting him a big coat like that, also expensive. But yeah, maybe a second-hand coat. That was one of my friends made a comment about that. Watch for a second-hand coat for him. But yeah, he's getting bigger. Maybe my mom can make him something. Before this winter, last summer, my mom had a senior dog that passed away in her arms. It was just very sad and very meaningful. She was an amazing dog. Her name was Raven. She was a black lab mix that they got from the Humane Society up here, so that would be the pound or whatever, the shelter. She got her years and years years ago. Oh my God, maybe 2009, 2010. Anyway, she lived a long time. She was in a car accident with my mom and lived. Like, my mom was in a car accident years ago, and like by herself. The road washed out, and she doesn't remember much of it, but any of it actually, because she was knocked out. But what we put together was the road washed out. There was a beaver dam that washed the road out, and there was a storm, and the beaver dam broke and washed the road. And from the hole after, so from what we saw the next day, this was in the middle of the night that it happened, hence the reason why she didn't see it probably very well. But the road washed out. She was driving along, and the road washed out in front of her faster than she could slow down. She hit the other side of the embankment of where the road washed out, if that makes sense. So she hit the other side of the road, the wall of it. So the road washed out, and she hit the bank. And the whole front end of the vehicle was smashed out. The vehicle was totaled. My mom, had to get stitches and face, and whole other story there. But she was fine. Didn't break anything, but just banged herself up pretty bad. Totaled the vehicle, broke her glasses. It was a mess. But in that car accident, Raven was in the car with her, and this was before Gunner, so it was before 2012. I've got to think of when this actually was. I want to say maybe 2011. I would have to go back and look. I'm not sure what year it was. So she just had the one dog, and it was in the car accident. The police drove the dog back to the house. So anyway, she was pretty banged up. She didn't need it. She didn't break anything, but she was just sore. And she, her hips were kind of sore for years after. She was fine medically, but, getting thrown around in a vehicle. I don't even know how the dog survived, because if you think about it, the dog didn't have a seatbelt on. When my mom crashed, the airbags deployed. She got the burns and everything from the airbags. So we know that happened, that there was that much force in the car. But the dog must have hit the back of the seat or whatever, because it didn't go through the windshield. She usually puts a dog in the back part of her SUV. So yeah, the dog survived it, surprisingly enough. I don't know how, but so when she was a senior dog with lots of arthritis, probably from all of the, the life that she lived, and from being hurt when she was younger. So yeah, it was pretty dramatic or sad or whatever, but she just has the one dog now. And then my dog is there too. So now that she has two dogs, but yeah, little story about the dogs. The chocolate lab that my mom has, that you see there, Gunner, he used to be my dog. I trained him as a puppy. I bought him as a puppy back in 2012, and he was my dog. And then my partner at the time, we were posted to St. Thomas, or to London, I should say, and we couldn't. We had to rent, and there were no places that allowed dogs. The one place that we needed that would hold our whole family had in the clause there, no pets. So very dramatic time in my life. I had to, leave the job. I was pregnant. I had to leave the job that I loved to keep our family together, and so we had to move down there. And so yeah, it's kind of sad to think about, but I had to give my dog to my mom, and she was like, of course, my mom loves dogs, so my mom took care of Gunner. And then whenever we actually, a couple months later, were ready to get Gunner back, or whatever. I told my mom, I said, I'm thinking about getting another dog. We bought a house, so we'd like to have Gunner back. Well, then she said, absolutely not. She had fallen in love with him. He would go on walks with her every day. She told me that he wouldn't want to live in the city, that he wants to live with her. So reluctantly, but obviously easily, I said, of course. He is happy there. I am not making this country dog, because he grew up majority of the time in our area, or close to the area, where he was in the country all the time, swimming in the Ottawa River, walking major long walks in the country. He was just off-leash, fun, happy dog. So whenever I told her that I would like to have him back and bring him down to St. Thomas and live in our new house, she was not happy with that. So that was when it was a deal, or not a deal, but an agreement I had with my partner at the time that when I need a dog in my life. I need a dog in my life. It's just simple as that. I need a dog in my life. When I don't have an animal, I feel off. You name it, whatever. I just feel more comfortable and happy when I have animals. It's just part of my nature. So whenever my partner said to me, whenever we buy a house, then you can have a dog, right? And I agreed with that, because I understood, it totally makes sense. And it was just an agreement that we had together. We both agreed to that. So I was renting or leasing a horse at the time at a barn nearby, or a stable nearby, out in the country near St. Thomas, about half an hour from St. Thomas. So I was leasing this horse. I was leasing it while we were renting, so I couldn't have a dog. Her dog, she bred to a Canary Mastiff. I loved her dog. Her dog's name was Hershey. She was a purebred bull mastiff, brindle, beautiful dog, and grew up or was living on this horse farm that people would come and go. And she was so chill. She would come and meet you at your car, but she wouldn't meet you aggressively. She would just come over to your car when you got there and be like, hi, welcome back to the stable. And she's just a sweet, sweet dog. She had these puppies, and obviously I'd watch her on Facebook and everything like this, and because I followed them on Facebook. And then obviously all the dogs were spoken for, because it was a real legit breeding, right? It was a bull mastiff to Canary Mastiff. All the puppies had owners before they were born, practically, on a waiting list, yada yada. The owner of Astro, they broke up, which I totally understand, because I know what going through a breakup does to your mental health. I know what it does to your living situation and financial situation. So I 100% understood that she had asked the breeder, or the lady from the horse barn, Hershey's mom, saying, like, we have to return Dynamite, because Dynamite was Astro's first name. So we have to return Dynamite to the breeder, that's so sorry, yada yada yada. So she put up Dynamite on Facebook saying, Dynamite was returned, if anybody's interested. We just, I don't even know if it was that. I should go back and see. It was like Dynamite was returned, and I don't even think it was like if anybody's interested or anything like that. It's just, it was like Dynamite's returned. I messaged her instantly, because at this point we had our house, or we were buying our house, and we were moving into, it might have already been moved in, actually, whenever I saw that post. And I was just starting to think about getting a dog, because we just moved in and we're now ready. And then Dynamite came available. None of the puppies were available before. They were all spoken for, everyone in the litter. I wasn't ready, so I wasn't going like, any available dogs. I just knew that they had owners already. They were all spoken for, so I never bugged her. But then whenever he came back up on Facebook, it was like a sign. He was a beautiful, cute little puppy. He was very dynamic. I loved the colors that he had, and as a puppy, it was adorable. And I just knew it was meant to be. So she put up that post. Within minutes, I had responded. Within a half an hour, I was on my way. And I went and picked him up that night. I asked my partner, I think at the time, or told him, like, this is what's happening. Make sure the house is ready, kind of thing. Bringing home a dog. I might have even stopped at the pet store on the way to get Dynamite to make sure we had food, and I already had water bowls, all those things, but there was I needed dog food, puppy food. I needed to call the vet and make sure that I had an appointment for him, and I had all this organizing to do, but it all happened in one day, and I'll always remember that day. Ooh, getting choked up. Ooh, dogs, don't cry, it's a dog. I love animals. I cry more about animals coming into my life and animals leaving my life than humans. He was meant to be in my life, just like I had a soul horse. His name was Echo, that I owned, and I had 2 horses that I owned. Well, I've owned several, but I mean on my property as a child. One was a purebred quarter horse, red, like a chestnut, red mane and tail too, full chestnut, white blaze and some white hawks. But he was an older quarter horse. He came off of I think he did some barrel racing. I think he did a bunch of fairs and some horse, he was bomb proof. He was one of these horses that you could do anything to, and he just stood there like whatever. He was an easy keeper. It was just, he was awesome. And I was so attached. People don't believe this kind of stuff, but I felt like I had a telepathic connection with that horse. Why am I crying? Or why am I getting choked up? I felt like he understood me and I understood him. I don't know how to describe that, but it was that deep. Ugh. Anyways, we had to put him down when I went off to college, because when I went off to school, his health was already deteriorating because he was a retired horse when I got him. When I went off to college, he started getting a whole bunch of edema. He was not breathing right because he was a cribber. It was like when I left, his health went down just really bad, and it's swollen. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all the medical stuff about him because I don't even really truly understand what was happening to him. But his health just took a dive, so we ended up putting him down. I have pictures of him the days before I put him down. My hair is short and everything, but yeah, that was heartbreaking. I cried myself to sleep for probably a year straight. I'm 45. This happened when I was 18, and I'm still crying about it. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is Astro is that for me now. I have a connection with that dog more than any human. He is, when I bought him, whenever Echo came into my life as a horse, I was 12 years old. I remember being in the schoolyard and watching I was at school whenever my parents brought him to the house. So I'm at school, they went and picked him up. I remember seeing his trailer past the schoolyard. I was out at recess and he passed the schoolyard. I still vividly remember that, going, I think that's my horse, right? I never rode him before my parents got him. My parents, it was like a surprise. Like, my aunt knew the owner of him. My aunt is obsessed with horses too, and my mom's sister, I should say. They did this all behind the scenes. I was only 11, 12 years old whenever they bought him for me, and when I came home from school, he was there. Obviously, they had already done the fences, and they were prepared for this. We had cows whenever I was a kid, so it's not like we didn't already have the set, like, fences and everything. So, yeah, I vividly remember every big milestone with that horse, and I vividly remember every milestone with this dog as being important in my mind. And that's one of the memories of watching his trailer pass my school and going, I wonder if that was my horse, because I knew he was coming, but I didn't have anything to do with it. I had to go to school, obviously. And Astro is the same for me now. He is that soul connection animal. It was a instant connection to him, an instant we are meant to be together, as I'm supposed to be your owner and you're supposed to be my dog. And so now there's only 2 dogs at my parents' place. There was 3 last summer. It's driving my mother crazy with all the dog hair. I live with my parents right now because I want to build on the lot, so I'm working on that. This is my year for all of that. I'm hoping that we can get the township to give me, they're really busy. I say that it's my fault that they're not talking to me. I say that because it's like I'm being, the typical lippy Aquarius saying, I don't know. Anyway, it's not their fault. It's not my fault. It's just the way it is. They're swamped to get anything at the township done, to get permits. It's just busy, busy, busy. Everybody's building, and it's just the way it is. So this is the year, now that everything else has been falling into place for me, without me actually having to do anything. It's just life is just kind of putting things back together for me, and I am elated. I've worked really hard to get here. I worked really hard to improve my mental health, improve my anxieties, my everything. I worked really, 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 really hard. I daily working hard. I didn't know how to meditate at the beginning. To tell you the truth, I don't even know if I'm doing it right now, but that's the thing about meditation, is that it's not one size fits all. It's an idea, it's a process to calm your mind. It doesn't matter how you do it. Meditation can come in many forms. The biggest thing is, when I first got into it, it's like, am I doing it right? What am I supposed to do with my face, my shoulder? Like, you're overthinking the entire thing, right? Instead of just relaxing. That's the whole point, is to relax. And I'm an overthinker. You think my mouth goes fast, my brain goes faster. So, yeah. So I started being like, I can't meditate, this sucks, I'm doing it wrong. I started with guided meditation. And that's just listening to someone talk and tell you what to do, and you just follow the steps, and like 20 minutes later, you're like, we're done? We're done. I could do that for an hour. And then you start doing meditations that are longer, or you start trying to do it by yourself, where you're not like listening to a guided meditation or a person or whatever. So I started with the guided. I have YouTube Premium because I literally, all of my content, most of my day is YouTube. I watch YouTube meditation, YouTube self-help, YouTube makeup tutorials, YouTube life vlogs, everything. I'm watching YouTube. I've been watching it probably since 2018, 17, like every day. YouTube is, I don't watch TV hardly, it's YouTube. So what YouTube Premium, you don't have commercials, and you can make a queue. I don't know, this is on my iPhone, but you can make a queue of a whole bunch of videos play next to each other. So I would start with a guided meditation that might only be 20 minutes. One, like a voice that I like, a person that I like, something that is very comforting. For some reason, it was male voices for me. For some people, it might be a female voice. It might be a AI voice. It's androgynous, whatever works for you. But it was like a male calming voice that I would listen to, and they like, go walk you through the steps of meditation, and then I would have a music that would play, and there's a lot of meditation style music, binaural beats, white noise, brown noise, whatever. There's a lot on YouTube. With no ads, with the premium, I would go from guided meditation and right into another meditation music. So I would have the guided meditation, I'd be doing it, and then I would extend it. Instead of an abrupt stop, I would extend my meditation for as long as I possibly could before my brain, I don't even know what, interrupts me. I guess that would be the best way to describe it. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. Your back hurts. Lay down. And until that started to actually be too loud, and I just kept making it bigger, making it longer, making my meditation longer and longer and longer, to the point where it trains you. It trains you to hear the thought, acknowledge the thought, and say not right now, or thank you, or whatever you might say to yourself. Yeah, I got it, not right now. Whatever it is, it works for you in the way that you're not reacting to a thought that comes into your head instantly. Because I was insanely dysregulated at the beginning of all of this. In my, I've not been diagnosed with any of this. It's what I think happened, is I had a mini, nervous breakdown, where I couldn't regulate my emotions at all during my day. So I was insanely PTSD, really bad, diagnosed with that. That I have a diagnosis for. But the nervous breakdown, that's just what I'm putting into it. There was a moment where my life, I was handling things, what I thought was handling things. I was handling things until I wasn't. Until I couldn't handle it anymore. All of my tools that I thought were working, all weren't working anymore. Deep breaths didn't do it. It's like I had to relearn how to be calm again. And it was a struggle. It was the hardest thing I've ever tried to do, was not lose my crap for whatever trigger that it was. Sometimes it was to trigger somebody lying, or somebody saying something that I didn't agree with, or I don't even know how to, or if somebody cut me off, where you're trying to talk and somebody cuts you off, and you just would literally trigger me to be like, they don't listen to me, they don't care, you're being silenced, whatever it is my brain decided to tell me in that instant. Yeah, it was very difficult. It's hard for me to look back at that because I'm so different now. So I'm trying to remember what was actually going on. And I'm really proud of myself for that, by the way. But yeah, if somebody just said something to aggravate me, I was off. I was crying. I was shaking. I was desperate for understanding, desperate for people to listen to me, desperate to change the narrative that was happening. Whatever that narrative might have been going on, I was like, that isn't true, blah, 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 fight, and cry, and desperate, and text, and whatever. That was the beginning of me starting to heal. I got some therapists, several of them. I had someone to help me with the PTSD, so that was the abuse counselor. And it was just little tips to say, to help me, because I would say, well, I have to do this, and then I have to do that, I have to do this, and she would say to me, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You can do it in your own time, your own, like, it was empowering me to help myself heal, right? Or things like, she did this, he made me feel, no. He didn't make you feel anything. He didn't make you do anything. You did that for yourself. It was like a reality check. Part of abuse counseling, it's the reality check, is the humbling that you need to do, because sometimes, I'm backing up here, sometimes we get stuck in the cycle of abuse, and we're almost living, turning around, backing up here, using my backup camera, so relax, using the adrenaline that you receive while fighting with someone, using that adrenaline as a drug. And that's part of it, that part of the cycle that people don't realize is adrenaline is a drug. You come up on it and you come down from it. And in the cycle of abuse, we don't realize that that's what we're living off of. This a whole other conversation, but adrenaline is a thing. It is a full-fledged drug that people get high off of, and then when that situation happens again, they get high off of it again, and they come down off of it again, and the whole cycle just keeps happening over and over again until you decide to stop digging, until you decide to stop the cycle, do something different, whatever that is. Change it up, change up the cycle, stop falling for the triggers, or when the triggers happen, deal with them internally. Don't expect somebody else to fix it. It's your trigger. So if you're like losing it because somebody lied on your name, or somebody said something about you, or somebody aggressively said blah 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 to you, instead of going off, because you already went off on, you're already going off inside, right? You're already losing it in your mind. You're already like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, like blah blah blah. Instead of reacting, start questioning. That's another great tip that I learned, was instead of being furious, don't get furious, get curious. So when you're pissed off for some reason, why am I so pissed off? What is it inside of my, is it what is the word? Is it my inner child pissed off about something that happened whenever I was a kid, and so I'm overreacting now? Find out what that trigger is. What part of your evolution did that come into play, and for what reason? So why am I angry? What happened to me as a child, or what happened to me as a teenager? What happened to me as an adult that I am so angry about this one action? Because if you can figure out what made you angry, you can heal it. You can heal it. It's possible to talk to yourself, to say, you know what? I got this now. We don't have to lose it on people whenever they don't believe us anymore. We don't have to lose it. It doesn't matter their opinion of me, or if they understand me at all. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to keep living. I'm still going to keep doing what I'm going to do. And if people don't believe me or understand me, that's at their peril. That's their problem, that they don't believe someone telling the truth. Think about that. It's their problem. They don't believe someone telling the truth. Let that sink in, because that's what was a trigger for me. and I would get angry, and like, right? Because like a child with learning disabilities, you don't feel seen most of your life. Teachers don't get you, especially back in the 80s. There was no such thing as like female ADHD. It just was not it doesn't represent in the same way boys do. So I'll leave it there. There's a lot of learning. They haven't even started testing. It was like the 2007 that when they started doing research study. I don't know the numbers, okay, but I know it was in the 2000s that they started doing research studies on female ADHD. 2000s, right? I was born in 1980, so that's years of research that they don't have. So yeah, that was one of the biggest tips for me, was instead of getting furious, get curious, find out why you're mad and heal that. And that was the work I did over and over and over again, to the point now that if someone says something to me that's BS, and I know it's not true, it doesn't affect me anymore. It's crazy. It's really, really neat to heal. It's really neat to heal, people. I can't even talk. It is amazing to heal. I love not being reactive. It's worth every session, every dollar that I spent on therapy. It is worth every second of it all to heal. Biggest advice for you is find out what pisses you off and heal it.